This is MBC. When the news breaks, we are there. We are MBC.
We are.
We are.
We are MBC.
We are.
We are.
We are the storytellers of Mason High School.
We are.
We are.
We are the best student-run broadcast.
We are.
We are.
We are your primetime homeroom.
We are.
We are.
We are by the students.
For the students.
We most definitely are.
We are.
We are MBC.
Welcome to this edition of MBC News. In today's broadcast, our reporters are bringing you the stories making headlines. Mason is a very welcoming place. Morgan Orlando has the story of a kid who may be a little bit different, but he fits right in.
Though many kids at Mason make connections with each other every day in some way, there is one young man with a visible barrier that contributes to being quite different. Coming from New York to Ohio, middle school to high school, and being deaf through it all, Chris King chooses to continue living a normal life despite being hearing impaired.
When Chris was about 3 or 4 months, I started to notice he wasn't responding like he used to. I used to vacuum and he would wake up, or make noises and he would wake up, and he just didn't do it anymore. It just seemed like he was different. He used to be in the car and all of a sudden he would cry. He just would cry when I put him in the car seat. And the car seats were rear facing. I think they're still rear facing, and I would be in the front seat and he would cry, and I would reach back and put my hand on his face and he would stop. Just things weren't right, and I had a feeling, and I just, maybe it's a mother's instinct, I don't know, I just had a feeling.
Chris was a little nervous when he moved from New York to Ohio this year. He admits that there are times when he wishes he could remove his cochlear implant.
I thought that moving to Ohio was going to be a weird thing, and I thought I was going to be nervous and scared, but I was thinking to myself that's going to be okay. I do wish I could take my implant off, because sometimes someone would scream at you, you would just take it off. Like amongst the truck, you would just want to take it off because it's so loud.
Even though Chris's mother knew that something was wrong, doctors reassured her that Chris was fine.
I think I took Chris to 3 doctors before I found out that he was deaf. I think it was at his 4th or 5th month checkup I told his doctor that I thought that something was wrong. I told her that I thought that he couldn't hear. She banged on the table that he was on, and she said, see, he hears that. And I said, but he can feel that. You know, he felt the vibrations. At a year, I took him to another pediatrician who had also been my pediatrician, and he immediately said that he thought that something was wrong and that I should take him for a hearing test. He failed the hearing test. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It could have been worse. It could have been cancer. It could have been, you know, it was a hearing loss, and it could be fixed, or you can deal with it.
Chris is like all kids in high school who want to find a place to belong. He seems to have found that on the high school football team.
For my free time, I play football. It all started from like flag football. Football has made me more accepting because I made many friends with them. And makes me feel like more like them because I like to make friends. I feel like a friendly person. So they'll like ask me questions and just make me feel welcome.
If I could go back now and make him a hearing person or make him not have lost his hearing, I wouldn't. I think it's given him character. I think it's given him strength. He's very hardworking. He doesn't stop. His teacher last year told me that Christopher's a little engine that could. He didn't say mom until he was 2. And so I appreciate that more than anything. And so I think when you lose something, it makes you appreciate what you have.
Doing everyday activities and making daily memories with his family just might prove that the path to being different truly lies in the eye of the beholder. I'm Morgan Orlando, MBC News.
A huge building with bell schedules, classroom learning, and football games on Friday night isn't for everyone. Some students choose to finish high school in a more realistic way, catered to their career paths. Here's Ashley Jones with the story.
Here at Scarlet Oaks Career Campus, Mason students are getting a head start at their field of study. Instead of being in a classroom setting for 7 hours, Scarlet Oaks students are getting a head start and better understanding for the career path they have chosen to take. Senior automotive technician Joe Latapy enjoys Scarlet's flexibility to provide hands-on experience in co-op studies.
Co-op is an opportunity that is offered to us when we first start out. Pretty much your junior year you have to have 95% attendance or better, and you have to have a class, like a higher class average than most of your peers. And if you meet those requirements, your junior year, your senior year, you're eligible to go on what's called co-op. So what you do is you go to school and you have 4 academic classes, and then you leave at lunch. You leave at 11 o'clock and you go to work for the rest of the day. Fortunately, I already had a job in the industry. I was already working at a local shop, so I was able to just go right out at the beginning of the year, no issues. It's one thing to learn in a classroom and to have someone there standing over your shoulder, like, my teacher, saying, well, this is how you do this and not to do this. But once you get out into the real world and you actually, you get that paycheck every Friday and it's kind of your own thing, and you kind of are your own boss to a certain extent, it's a pretty cool feeling.
Scarlett senior Manuel Avila is grateful for the advanced placement opportunities in culinary arts.
Once we got out of Scarlett, we are certified junior culinarians, which is something we wouldn't be able to achieve through Mason. Also, when we go into college, for example, at Cincinnati State or Sullivan, instead of taking 2 years of college for an associate's degree, it would only take me probably a year because I get higher standards because I've been here for 2 years taking culinary. What's giving me is more of an insight on what's going on with the career, what it needs to do to take to be in the career.
Scarlet Oaks Career Campus continues to provide opportunities for MHS upperclassmen beyond core academics. This June, Scarlet students will not only walk out of the Sintal Center with an MHS diploma, but also a certificate in their field of study. I'm Ashley Jones, MBC News.
As the end of the school year quickly approaches, graduation is right around the corner. But for some, that diploma doesn't mean straight to college. Here's Anna Fagin with the story.
Year after year, the pressure on students to succeed becomes more and more intense. They're pulled in multiple directions, forced to be constantly on their A game. Senior Erica Bowden has taken her efforts to the next level in order to stand out among her highly competitive peers.
I do a lot. I'm senior class president. I'm involved in student government, National Honor Society. I'm a member of National Art Honor Society. I run cross country. I tutor and I volunteer. I go to Young Life. Right now I'm training for a marathon on my own. I do rec basketball with friends, so I definitely feel that initially there's a pressure. You're expected to do well, but I try not to let that get to me, and I try to do things because I want to do them and because I want to succeed for myself. I started going on a lot of college visits, and at some of the schools it's like, here you might be an overachiever and you might be a standout student and all of this stuff, and when you go to other schools or elite private schools or Ivy Leagues, that's average. Every kid there is like that. That's expected. Like what used to be going above and beyond is now the minimum, and that's now the same as everyone else.
For some students, the pressure to perform doesn't stay within the reins of school. Although Cassie Stewart isn't involved in many school activities, instead she finds herself behind the counter at Jimmy John's working tirelessly.
So I chose to graduate early so I could have a full-time job and work more and not be so reliant on my parents to pay for my college and help contribute to my college. I feel like I'm missing out on being a kid sometimes with having to work all the time. I don't get to go to the games and not hang out with friends that much. My personal schedule's messed up. I get up at 4 a.m., go work out, because after school it's straight to letting the dogs out, straight to work, and then it's come home. But at the end of the day, when I get that paycheck and it's my money, it feels good.
With many years of experience under her belt, Counselor Phyllis Bell sees the pressure firsthand.
I think a lot of kids are overscheduled. I believe that some kids don't know how to manage time, and some kids fail to manage time because they procrastinate. So there's not a lot of planning, and that ends up with them turning their weekends into work-ends. Some pressure is good. Motivation's good. Being driven is good. Learning to cope with pressure is good, because you're going to have that your whole life. Everybody does. But there has to be some balance.
Whether the pressure comes from peers, parents, or society, students are forced to balance their busy schedules in preparation for their future. But in the midst of the stress, students try to make the most out of their many activities. I'm Anna Fagin, MBC News.